nationally, and some businesses have been impacted by recent civil unrest as well. Insurance coverage and premiums have become increasingly important topics. Coverage for, quote, business interruptions causing a loss of revenue and or physical destruction of property are affecting businesses' ability to stay open, retain or rehire employees. To aid California companies, the California Department of Insurance recently extended an order requiring insurance companies to return partial insurance premiums to consumers and businesses, which provided much needed financial relief. Not only does the California Department of Insurance oversee over 1,400 insurance companies statewide, it also has $310 billion of direct premiums annually, making it the largest insurance market in the US. The office's main functions include overseeing insurer solvency, licensing agents and brokers, conducting market conduct reviews, resolving consumer complaints, and investigating and prosecuting insurance fraud. Today, we are honored to have with us California Insurance Commissioner Ricardo Lara. Commissioner Lara will address the impacts to California's insurance market as businesses navigate the disruptions. At the end of the presentation, we will have a few minutes for Q&A. I encourage all participants joining today's call to submit your questions while the commissioner is making his presentation, and we'll get to as many as time allows. It is now my pleasure to introduce California Insurance Commissioner Ricardo Lara. Commissioner Lara is California's 8th insurance commissioner since voters created the elected position in 1988. Commissioner Lara previously served in the California legislature representing Assembly District 50, which includes Agora Hills to West Hollywood. And from 2010 to 2012, he represented Senate District 33, which includes Huntington Beach to Long Beach from 2012 to 2018. He wrote the first climate insurance law, SB 30, to engage the insurance industry in the fight against climate linked to environmental disasters. His priorities include recovering from natural disasters and resisting climate change, protecting Californians from fraud, embracing technology, expanding access to healthcare, ensuring a fair insurance market. So please welcome Commissioner Lara.
Thank you, Mary. It's great to be on with all of you and all my friends at the LA Business Council. I'm happy to join you today as we talk about resources for our business community. I've personally spoken in more than 20 town halls for small businesses dealing with the losses of and related to COVID-19. Over the past few weeks, we all have been witnessing our state and nation reckon with another tremendous challenge, the reoccurring injustice of police brutality that has caused so much pain in our African-American community for generations. We cannot turn away from this moment and pretend it's about somebody else. As we ask all the supporters and all those folks to support those fearless advocates that are fighting to change these unjust laws and unequal police practices so that we can live our lives openly, proudly, and unafraid. One way our Department of Insurance is supporting our fellow Californians during this time is by ensuring accurate and timely information and services when it comes to the insurance needs of our communities. My media's focus is to making sure that the industry is prepared to handle the claims and to help our businesses recover as quickly as possible, especially those who have been hit by looting and vandalism. We are expecting insurance adjusters to be on the ground as soon as possible to help looted businesses immediately access their insurance benefits. I've been in contact with the insurance industry and industry leaders. So far, I'm not hearing any problems with business accessing their benefits, and we'll continue to monitor the situation and we'll keep our legislators and all of you updated. Our community outreach team and consumer services team have already begun reaching out to the affected communities, lending our support, and have prepared a helpful fact sheet about our, what resources are available following civil unrest, and that's on our website at insurance.ca.gov, so that businesses know what the rights are and and what are the questions they should be asking, quite frankly. As the current situation continues to unfold, and as our communities work to forge a new way forward, we will be called upon to rebuild again. And the Department of Insurance will be ready, just as we are after fires, after floods, during this pandemic, and now during the civil unrest we are seeing now. Before COVID-19 pandemic, and now the civil unrest, one of the longstanding priorities for me and the department has been the availability and affordability of homeowners insurance. I traveled to more than 22 counties last year throughout the state to hold town hall meetings to hear your stories so that we could make decisions on what actions should we be taking to resolve these issues. Before I became the insurance commissioner, I authored a bill, SB 824, which created protection from non-renewals in areas where wildfires have occurred so residents don't lose their coverage. This protection was used after the 16 state fire emergencies that were declared in 2019. More than 1 million homes are protected from being non-renewed for a year. And that includes in areas in Los Angeles and San Bernardino counties, for example. You can see a full list of the affected zip codes on our website at insurance.ca.gov. And wildfires are not going to wait for COVID-19 to end. As we are already seeing, we are already witnessing a much warmer wildfire season. The department will be working with the legislature to find solutions to protect you, protect your homes and your small businesses. As we continue through this unprecedented emergency, we have a lot of work to do to assist our small businesses and their workers. New data continues to show unprecedented job losses in the greater Los Angeles area. The Department of Insurance has taken several steps to help our business community. On April 19th, as Mary was saying, I ordered insurance companies to return a portion of premiums to businesses and drivers affected by COVID-19. And that is for the months of March, April, and May, as the stay-at-home orders continued. My order covers at least 6 lines of insurance where the risk of loss has fallen as a result of the pandemic. Many businesses closed due to the pandemic need relief from premiums that no longer really reflect the present day risks that many of you are having to deal with. And so by requiring insurance companies to return premiums, it puts a little money back in your pockets or reduces your future cost when you need it the most. And business owners, it's important to say you don't have to do anything to receive the refund. Insurance companies must provide this relief as soon as possible. I'm sure some of you have already provided that. You can also contact your insurance company, I would say, and provide your actual or estimated change in payroll or business receipts, and you can possibly qualify for an even larger discount. Again, there is 6 lines of insurance that I'm asking for refunds or some type of credit for our business owners, and that is your private passenger automobile insurance, your commercial automobile insurance, your workers' compensation insurance, your commercial multi-peril insurance, your commercial liability insurance, and medical malpractice insurance. So this really builds upon the action I took a couple of months ago to request insurance companies to give businesses a 60-day grace period to pay premiums through at least July 14th. Many insurance companies we've seen have honored my request by offering flexibility to consumers and our business owners during during our pandemic, and now after the looting as well. So we encourage you to contact our department at 1-800-927-4357, or again, by visiting our website at insurance.ca.gov, and we can help further give you more detailed information. If you haven't seen any of these refunds on your premiums, these different lines of insurance, you can reach out to us. We can contact the insurance company for you. We can look at your bills and your premiums and see if you're getting that discount. So please feel free to give us a call. We speak multiple languages, and you will be talking to a live person. I also want to mention there's been a lot of discussion about business interruption. And many businesses have been looking to their insurance policies for possible coverage. As we all know, each policy is a legal contract between the business owner and the insurance company. And since early March, we have been seeing dozens of lawsuits around the country, including here in California, which concerned the interpretation of these policies and whether such policies cover losses due to the COVID-19 pandemic. I can tell you we are monitoring these cases as these move through the courts, but have taken several significant steps also to try to address business interruption. It's important to note that, since it's a legal contract between the business and the insurance company, it's hard for us to have any statutory authority in terms of what is covered, what isn't covered, and the interpretation of those contracts. So this is why we are looking to see what the courts will ultimately decide in several of these cases. We have been learning, though, also that some insurance companies are simply denying business interruption claims without even a thorough investigation, or discouraging business owners from even filing a claim. And that is completely unacceptable. In response to these numerous complaints that we've been receiving throughout the state, I'm requiring insurance companies to comply with their contracts and California law by fairly investigating every single business interruption claim caused by COVID-19, just as they would any other disaster, whether it was a fire, earthquake, flood, you name it. So my department will be watching and making sure that claims are being looked at, that people are being able to file claims. And again, if you are one of those businesses that your insurance company just said, don't even bother, don't file a claim, it's not going to get covered, well, that's wrong. We want to hear about that. And so please call us at the number that we provided or on our website. It is also important to note around workers' compensation, there's been several questions. It's important to note that it's going to take some time to see the impact of COVID-19 on workers' compensation and our overall system, which has been another thing that people have been asking. Businesses that are closed or dramatically reduce their payrolls may see their workers' compensation costs reduced in the short term because of my order to have the workers' compensation companies return these premiums to you all. And so you'll see that for that reason. But under the current workers' compensation regulations, payrolls include payments to employees who are furloughed, even though they're not working, also, which means that employers' rates would remain the same as if the employee was still in the workplace performing regular duties. We know that is a major discrepancy. Also, employers that provide workers' compensation with the opportunity to transition from, let's say, regular work, lighter duties, to home-based clerical work are still paying the rates based upon a higher job classification. And to address this unfair situation, last month, my department held a hearing to consider the proposed regulatory changes, emergency regulatory changes, which would make changes intended to reflect the lower risk of workers' compensation and workers' injury, I should say, in the light of the pandemic. So I'm reviewing those proposed regulations and will determine whether they are consistent with my overall mandate to reduce premiums and reflect that reduced risk. Again, Mary was talking about fraud. I want to urge all our businesses to be on the lookout for fraud and insurance scams. Unfortunately, during these times, it's when these fraudsters really try to take advantage of our consumers and our business owners and report any suspicious activity to our Department of Insurance. We have over 300 sworn investigators and enforcement personnel throughout 9 regional offices, including our office in Commerce and Valencia that serve the county of Los Angeles. I would just say to be on alert for those offering bogus workers' compensation policies, verify the legitimacy of the selling agent and the policy being offered, You can verify that agent's license on our website or contact the insurance company directly to verify the policy. You'll be surprised how many people fall for this over and over and over again. And when it's time to rely on their workers' compensation policy, they realize that it was a bogus company and that they had no workers' comp protections whatsoever. So also be on the alert for fraudulent workers' compensation claims by employees that may have lost their job or have been laid off because of the COVID-related pandemic. So again, we encourage you to report any suspected insurance scams by calling our department at 1-800-927-4357 or through our website at insurance.ca.gov. You can also reach us. You could ask us for any concerns, whether it's your business, your personal insurance lines that you might have questions. The majority of our staff are teleworking in support of the governor's stay-at-home directives, and we continue to provide essential services to California consumers and our businesses. Look, I'll be honest, insurance is complicated, even for your California Insurance Commissioner. We can help guide you through the process. We have experts ready to help answer your questions in multiple languages. You can talk to an actual person, not just a recording. And I know some people get anxiety when I say, it's a 1-800 number, but honestly, we have people there Monday through Friday that will help answer your questions and help guide you and help give you just, a peace of mind of where you're going in terms of your insurance needs. So thank you again, and I look forward to your questions.
Thank you, Commissioner. I think that was really a thorough overview. A lot of the questions that are coming back, you've addressed, but I want to go into a couple of the subtleties. You brought up the issue of the business interruption. Are you in a position to actually compel the insurance companies to make those payments? Can you order them to pay?
Yeah, I cannot because as we said, the contract is a legal contract between the business and the insurance company. But I don't have the authority to force to pay out claims because there's still so much gray area in terms of what does it mean? Is it covered? Is it not covered? And so the courts are deciding that as we speak. So I have Tony Signorelli from my office who works a lot on the business interruption issues. Tony, would you like to expand further on this issue?
Yeah, Commissioner, it's definitely a challenging issue. As Commissioner Lara mentioned, he currently doesn't have the authority to interfere in the contracts themselves, and there isn't really sufficient statutory law in the insurance code that dictates what coverages insurance companies are required to provide in the commercial area. There's more laws in the residential area, for example, but not so much in the commercial area. So as long as the insurance companies are complying with the minimal laws that are in the statutes in the insurance code and their contracts, the authority of the insurance commissioner is fairly limited. And a lot of what we're seeing is challenges with regard to certain exclusions, virus exclusion, certain requirements of physical damage to the property in order to trigger coverage for business interruption due to COVID-19. And those are some of the challenges that people are facing, businesses are facing. However, as Commissioner Lara also mentioned, they should still file those claims, require the insurance company to formally investigate, formally respond. And so if the business is then denied a claim, they can come to us and we can look at it, and then we'll already have a place to start rather than trying to start from scratch. And we'll be able to navigate that consumer, that business through their policy to make sure the insurance company properly handled it and then properly advised the business.
Got it. Well, that kind of begs the issue of moving forward. If COVID is not part of a policy, and we know it's with us and there's no vaccine for at least another year or two, how do people plan and mitigate that risk if they are opening their businesses or convening or anything else?
That's an excellent question, Mary. And also why it is critically important for business owners to know exactly what their coverage entails, especially when it comes to viruses or pandemics. Because what we've seen, unfortunately, has not been the first time we've seen pandemics or viruses. We had H1N1, the swine flu, bird flu, and so insurance companies started putting these exclusions in the policies for so many businesses. And so why it is critical for you to understand what the policy covers and what the exclusions are. And again, we can help you look at where you need to look at in terms of figuring out what coverage do you actually have, and what does that mean for your business, and how do you protect yourself. And if you're not one of these businesses that have this type of insurance, how do we get one that provides this inclusion? There are policies out there that provide a virus protection, and so we need to work with you or help you, guide you through where those policies are moving forward. Tony, do you want to add anything else on this? Because it's a really good question.
No, that's exactly right, Commissioner. It is important to note that while many policies do have a virus exclusion, there are companies that do sell policies without a virus exclusion or allow you to purchase the endorsement that removes the virus exclusion. Obviously, that comes at a price, so it is something that business will have to decide, whether they can afford that additional cost depending on the size of the business and their needs. But it is available, and we can help them navigate that, as the Commissioner mentioned.
And do you foresee, like in the future, the way you preempted the wildfires and created a condition to protect consumers and businesses, having to maybe do something similar for the COVID situation?
Yeah, I think it's definitely something that we're looking at. We've been working with several legislators on how do we provide this protection, but also having not putting the overall insurance market at risk. Because as you've been hearing, some folks have been talking about, well, let's create a retroactive approach where businesses can, seek this remedy through their policies. And then the worry I have is that one or two major restaurant chains in the state can completely overwhelm if they're allowed to retroactively recoup losses, can really create that imbalance in the market, which at the end of the day would put in peril the ability for the market to be able to pay out the claims for a whole host of other insurance products. So definitely it's on our agenda as we continue to have conversations with the legislature, is how do we provide these basic protections for our small businesses in particular, who we're seeing have the exclusions in their policies, and many of them don't even have business interruption policies because it seems as kind of like an add-on piece that is not essential for the businesses, and many businesses who are just struggling to make ends meet don't have this type of policy. It's almost like a luxury product to have. And so we're trying to figure out how do we provide that balance, and where does government step in to be able to provide some sort of remedy for our small businesses that are now, not only dealing with the pandemic, but many of them are dealing with the vandalism from rioting and looting.
Yeah, that's right. Those are really important points. And since speaking of restaurants, which you just mentioned, which have been disproportionately affected, will insurance companies be required to pay loss of rent due to government edict to close restaurants and businesses?
Tony, do you want to take a stab at that? That's the first time I've heard this question.
Yes, Commissioner. In essence, for any business, not just restaurants, if they have a commercial policy, a business owner's policy, or a commercial multi-peril policy, most of those standard policies cover vandalism, malicious mischief, riots. They also cover civil authority. So a curfew, for example, could be considered a civil authority, and therefore, under most standard policies, any business that has these coverages should be able to recoup their losses up to whatever their limits are and whatever their coverages are for that kind of situation.
That's great. No, I think that's very helpful. And I'm seeing here, should business owners rely, and I think you addressed this, but I'm going to reiterate, should business owners rely on what their broker or agent says their policy covers, or should they be digging deeper and reading it for themselves?
Yes, please. And again, this is why it's critical. I wouldn't rely on our just brokers or agents. Look, and why it's critical to always try to understand at least what your basic coverage is. Because I'll say, you know, many of these insurance companies rely on you not knowing what your coverage is, or relying on you just to continue to make the payment and not think about your insurance policy. And so many businesses have paid the price for that. I want you to be much more vigilant when it comes to understanding your individual policy. And I'm actually putting some of the responsibility on myself on talking to our department is, how do we simplify these contracts? How do we simplify these contracts so that business owners and, you know, consumers can readily look and see what their coverage is without having to go through all this legalese that only just, you know, doesn't encourage you to go through your policy and just want you to put it away and not look at it until you need it, right?
Yeah.
So it's a twofold. I want the onus to also fall on the department to make these contracts simpler so that insurance companies can so you can understand what your coverage is. And also, if you at any moment are not satisfied with the answer of your broker or your agent, give us a call. We can help decipher this insurance legalese and better equip you with the knowledge that you need to know to protect yourself, protect your business, and protect your assets.
Yeah, I think we'll be calling your 1-800 number because I've gotten some very unsatisfactory answers from my broker.
Yeah.
Let me ask you, when were the insurance companies supposed to start crediting back the premiums that we talked about earlier? I've gotten that question a couple times.
Yeah, so they should be doing that immediately since we signed the bulletin. Obviously it's important to note that in many cases it's going to be a credit, a reduction, or a refund, and that's for a percentage of the premiums of March, April, and May. And of course, this is not going to be 100% refund of the premium. It's important to note. And the reductions will be tied to the change of risk during the months that we've asked Californians to stay at home. And it's going to depend on the type of coverage you have and the type of policy. We've seen a number of insurance companies announce premium refunds, reductions, and types of credit. And so my bulletin, as I said, directed insurers to make initial premium refunds to adversely impacted policyholders and businesses as soon as possible, but no later than 120 days from the date of the bulletin, which would be in August 11th. So August 11th would be that 120-day cutoff. And like I said, it's various policies. And it's also important to note that we as a department are going to be we're collecting that data to see from all the insurance companies and all the different lines, how did they come up with that percentage of a refund or credit. So it's not just, we're going to trust, but we're also verifying this data to make sure that consumers and businesses are not being shortchanged and that it's actually representative of the lowering of the risk that you now have through this policy. So we will be reviewing all this data. Our actuaries, our insurance experts are looking at this now to make sure that you're getting the most money that you should be getting during this moment and during this crisis. So it's not just, we're allowing them to allowing the insurance companies to come up with the different percentages and different reimbursement programs, but we're going to verify that to make sure that that's actually accurate and that it represents a reduction in your policy given the policy that you have and the coverage that's appropriate to you and your business.
So there's no set formula. It will vary.
Yeah.
Is that
Yes.
Okay, and
Because essentially we're recognizing the unique nature of each insurance policy holder, base, and also insurance coverage offered. And so instead of us trying to create a one size fits all, we wanted the different companies to come up with their own program, but yet we're going to be validating that and make sure that that's accurate.
no, that's great. And on your website, you can find a fact sheet that says what the refunds are, the 6 areas of eligibility for refund. Is that right?
Yes, again, it's private passenger auto, commercial automobile insurance. And on the commercial automobile insurance, it's important for those who have trucking companies or who still are essential workers and have your business, business vehicles on the roads, or you're using your private passenger auto to deliver goods. You're still going to be eligible for a reduction because, as we've seen overall, the number of accidents has fallen because you have less people on the roads in March, April, and May. So you're also going to be given a discount. We've been getting questions from business owners who have trucking companies, who have delivery services, and I'm like, well, am I going to be entitled to get a discount because my trucks and vehicles are still on the road? Absolutely, because it's about the overall risk falling for everyone because we just have less people on the road. And there's been several studies already that have said that, accidents have dramatically dropped throughout the state because we just have less people. And so your refund and your policy should reflect that.
Yeah, no, that makes total sense. Though I have noted there are some very crazy people who are on. Also, do you want to see the rejections that people have received from their insurance companies? Is that something that people should call and share with you?
Yes, it's critical. If you want to share those with us, please send us an email, give us a call, because we're able, as we log in, not only complaints through our hotline and through our email, we're able to detect different trends in different parts of the state or in the city. For example, if we start receiving denials of a certain insurance company that are higher rates than others, or that are affecting a certain industry or affecting a certain part of our city, then that kind of makes us look twice at these things and figure out, hey, why is this happening in this industry, or why is this only happening in this part of LA or of the state? So that helps us look at these negative trends that we can see, and then send investigators or have our folks call the insurance company to figure out what's happening in this given situation or given area. So all that is helpful to us. Tony, do you want to add to that, since you are the collector of all these non-renewals and complaints from the state?
Yes, Commissioner. What I would add is that, even though it's possible that the insurance company's denial of these business interruption claims, for example, might end up being valid, let us make sure that you have the exclusions that the company is saying you have, that it applies to business interruption and not just other parts of your policy. And let us go through that and just validate that if the insurance company is denying your claim, that they properly denied your claim, and then go through it with the business so that they're aware of why it's denied and what particular provision or exclusion applies. And that also allows them to better understand, what do I need going forward to protect myself? Do I need to purchase this endorsement, for example, to remove this exclusion in the future to protect myself?
Tony, can you also explain how through this process, we oftentimes are able to capture other discrepancies that we do have authority over, where we're able to either protect the consumer or the business owner and help them keep their insurance? For example, if we find they're being discriminatorily targeted, for example, or there is some other discrepancy within their denial letter or the process by which they achieved that outcome.
Yes, that's correct, Commissioner. Just by us looking at a denial, for example, we look at the entire claim, not just a denial, and we'll look at the entire underwriting file, and so that we can understand hey, did you make a mistake here, insurance company? And did you make a mistake for all of this whole book of business? And do you maybe owe a reimbursement to this, to this book of business because this other mistake we found by us looking at this entire claim and that book of business? So that does help both maybe that individual person, but also maybe the book of business at large, the consumers at large.
Got it. That makes sense. Commissioner, can I exercise my right as moderator and ask you a question based on your experience in Los Angeles and your knowledge of the region?
Of course.
The city of LA is working on a program that we've been working with them on for the last 2 or 3 years that'll provide greater access to minority and disadvantaged small businesses in terms of procurement. And it'll open up the municipal procurement, organize it better, simplify it, integrate the proprietaries, and also put the private opportunities online of major primes, sports, entertainment, and culture. And we were asked the other day, hey, what can you do? What would be an important thing to do to help these small businesses now that they've experienced further challenges with the virus, with the civil unrest and all? Is your answer going to be make sure they understand their rights and look at my fact sheet? And should we be promoting your fact sheet aggressively into these communities so they know what their rights are and how to protect themselves? Because I feel like that's a good question. Like, where we started with this and where we are right now are two different places, right?
Right.
Okay.
Right. There's a couple thoughts here. So I have a diversity task force that is made up of several, not only insurance professionals, but small businesses that reflect different types of industries throughout the state, where we are looking at the procurement for the insurance industry and making sure that they diversify their portfolio in terms of where are they investing their own resources in terms of promoting, businesses of color, women-owned businesses, LGBTQ businesses, and so we continue to expand and work through this board to make sure that we open up the insurance industry to these essential, small businesses that are critical to the economic prosperity of our entire state and our city. And so we have a dedicated committee that does this, and we also hold annual conferences where we invite the industry leader and the insurance industry heads to meet with local businesses, businesses of color, to figure out how can they get a contract with a specific industry, a specific insurance company. And so we continue to promote this and have been very successful at diversifying various insurance companies' portfolios when it comes to what they are investing their own resources in terms of promoting and helping small businesses. The other thing I would look at too, in particular, the trends around fraud. We see that our small businesses that are traditionally monolingual speaking business owners that are in very heavy immigrant communities continue to be targets of fraud, whether it's selling them bogus workers' compensation policies, whether it's selling them other bogus policies that don't even exist, is something that continues to be a problem. And why I've directed, and we work with our local DAs and with our investigators to really hone in on this particular community, because a lot of our small business owners that are immigrant owned are still trying to understand not only the laws, but what are their protections? What are their rights as business owners? And knowing where they need to be able to, hey, there's an agent selling me a product, are they legitimate or not?
Right.
How do we know that this policy that I just bought, and I'll tell you, it's heart-wrenching to see these stories that I get to now look into when, landscaping companies, small restaurants, coffee shops, all of a sudden need to file a workers' compensation claim and have paid supposedly this company for years and realize that they never had coverage. and
That's-
end up losing their business, losing their employee. And so this happens a lot in our monolingual communities, hence why we're also, sending out information in multiple languages. We're also doing these type of town halls. We just did a statewide Spanish one. We're gonna try to do a Mandarin, an Armenian one, because we know that these services are critical to our small businesses that are, immigrant and that are, work and that are, especially in LA, growing leaps and bounds. How do we protect them? And how do we incorporate them in the rights that they have? And so there's several fronts that we're attacking this, but anytime you want us or our staff to be part of these efforts, we'll be there.
That's terrific. And I think this emphasis on protecting people from fraud is huge. It's proactive, and it's getting people, making sure people, don't pay in an honest way and then end up in a situation where they're not covered.
Right. And we recover millions of dollars annually, millions of dollars from our fraud investigations that we fight with our DAs. And I also give, part of my duty, I give millions of dollars to our district attorneys to help them pursue these cases and actually prosecute these cases. And that's critical for you all to know that we're working in tandem with our DAs, but also, as resources dwindle, it's harder for us to, get these DAs to close out these cases, because we need to make examples of these folks that are taking advantage of not only consumers, especially our seniors, especially our vulnerable Californians, our low-income Californians, and our immigrant communities who continue to be victimized from insurance fraud.
Well, we thank you for that work, and we thank you for this diversity task force. And I'd be remiss if I didn't say that Mark Morales from City National Bank is one of our most avid champions on this project that we're working on right now. And he actually has shared the work that you're doing. I don't know if you're unique in doing this work in your state department, or if this is contagious. I hope it becomes contagious and others think they should actually be doing it, the diversity work in terms of the procurement. But just know he has represented you well on this issue.
He's great. He's great. He does fantastic work.
Yeah, he does. Okay, well, thank you so much for your time today. This has really been terrific. This cannot be the first interaction we have with you. I don't know why it took us so long to ask you to talk with.
Especially for the first insurance commissioner from LA.
I know. Well, I hate to say, no, I'm not even gonna say. That's right. Shame on us. You're right. That took us a little longer than it should have, but hey, a good disaster always brings you back to insurance. Okay?
Yes.
So you're clearly, also, if you need help legislatively on this, eventually, please let us know, because we can help you there. And we'll just view this as the first of many conversations now.
Absolutely.
Okay, great. And thank you for including your team today. That was terrific.
Thank you so much, Mary. We look forward to having a continued conversation. We're here to help you. And like I said, I don't want our business owners to think, oh, this is a dumb question. Oh, I should know this. No, please err on giving us a call. And at the minimum, we can at least just confirm, that you're on the right path. And again, for so many of our business owners and our homeowners, fire season's upon us. Please take a moment to review your homeowner's policy. Please take a moment to look at what your coverage is, and making sure that your coverage limits are up to date. And I just want to make sure we try to prevent as much as possible. And give us a call. You have the number 1-800-927-4357, or you can reach us at insurance.ca.gov. Thank you so much, and everybody stay safe.
Yeah, you too. Thank you. Thanks for today. And we'll post it on our website, and we'll blast it out to our database for you.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Take care.